currently 50% of my students are incarcerated at one of 6 prisons up and down the state of California. And they are, and we're teaching those in a correspondence format. And so that's 50% of our students. The other 35 to 40% of our students are firefighters or first responders scattered around the state of California, coming in and doing short course work, probably through their fire department or those types of things. And then we have that smaller 10 to 15% that is our local learners. So when we start talking about that 80 to 90% of our students, they have to do all of their paperwork in paper. So when they apply to our college, they have to do it on paper. And if you're incarcerated, you're doing that with a number 2 pencil. And in California, how you get into college is you have to go to the 3C Apply website and apply. So 90% of our students don't have that opportunity. And so what we had done as a workaround is have paper applications that we would mail out to these institutions, mail out to these firehouses, wherever this training was being done. People would fill that out, they would mail it back to us, and then we would have one of our employees try to read their handwriting that's now smeared, smudged. Maybe, obviously, if I'm a first generation student, maybe I didn't know what the questions meant.
Sure.
So I'm going to try to interpret all of that information, and I'm going to put it into the software so that, quote unquote, we can get them accepted. And so you can see that just in that frame, how complicated it is. When we started to say, how can we let you do the parts of your job that you love? And less of the busy work, less of the finger pointing work. And then I got accidentally lucky. Complete random good luck, right? So I was at we have 2 meetings a year for all the vice presidents that are in charge of student services in California. And I was at that, and we were sitting there, and we got really lucky. There were some people sitting at my table that their shirt happened to say end-to-end. We started talking about what they're doing on fraud protection. They're already working for our college. It was great. And like all good vice presidents, I started complaining about a problem that I had. We started talking about how could AI solve the problem. And when I had that conversation, and as it moved forward, and as Karen had that, I came back and I had conversations, and again, in a very strong unionized group. And it basically was, let's do it. Let's jump in and let's see it. 85% of the people that are doing it enjoy their job better, feel like they're doing truly the kind of the mission vision that they thought they signed up for. And we're getting less and less complaints from those prison locations. And with the technology, we can predict a lot of the answers for our people. So now all of a sudden, instead of me going through and typing the information in, because again, we have the same number of people as institutions that are primarily face-to-face. So now when someone comes in the office and I have to stop and help the student in front of me instead of typing in the information, right? How easy is it to lose your line? Now what they're doing is on our screen is the student information, the AI analytics of what that information is, with those inner great colors of green is good, yellows pay a little more attention, red watch out. And we always talk about, if there's a problem, then you start working on a solution. But most people come in and they have a solution, they're just looking for a problem. This was exactly the opposite. This has absolutely always been about, I had a problem, end-to-end of solving my problem, and they're partners, because we started saying things like, oh, wait, so we could just make this work even better if we change the form? Well, because we can just change the form. We could actually have a different form for firefighters And incarcerated students, that's okay. And you don't see that nowadays. Most of the technology you're working with, right? Let's face it, it's a generic number and you got to put in a ticket. And does enough people vote on your ticket to be able to do it? That's not our experience at all. It is, what do you guys want? How can we solve it? And is it good for students? And that's our, I mean, that from my, as a vice president, it's amazing to have that.